record.
My name is Dani and I'm 15 years old.
How did you know the victim, Therese Jamison?
She was my mother. We've lived together on and off the street since August 2004 when my stepfather abandoned us and left town with another woman.
Where did your mother work?
My mother worked at the Mega Mart when my stepfather left, but after we had to move to the Circle of Hope homeless shelter, she lost her job because she couldn't get there in time. She must have applied for 30 or more jobs, but whenever they asked why she didn't have an address, the interview ended then and there. She was actually allowed to use someone else's address when she applied for the Terrible Towel Cafe, and she got the job. And she worked 6 days a week and made pretty good tips. And we were lucky enough to get an apartment at the same time. Even though things were going well for once, though, she just seemed worried.
Do you know what she was worried about?
Yeah, actually, when we met Kim Sanchez, the woman whose address she used on her application on the street, my mother told her that she was worried that she thought that Teaberry was using horse meat in the beef to cut down on costs, and even though she had proof of it, she was just too afraid to report it.
How long did Therese work at the Terrible Towel Cafe?
She worked there until October 29th, when I walked my mom to work as I usually did before going to school, but there was a really great bike parked outside, so I went over to look at it, and while I was doing so, I heard yelling inside the cafe, and I didn't hear everything that was said, but I heard my mom say that she knew about the horse meat and Wilbur. When my mom came back out, she said that Olson had fired her and hadn't even given her the paycheck she'd already earned. So when rent was due the next day, we were evicted.
When was the last time you saw your mother?
On November 20th, my mom went to go ask about getting her old job back, but she'd been increasingly desperate because after we were evicted, we were living out on the streets in the homeless shelter again, and she couldn't find jobs anywhere or those attorneys that provide specifically for homeless people. So when she sent Kim to go ask for a job back, Kim said that Olson said that she'd been tardy too much, and she gave us this calendar that supposedly told all the times my mom had been late. But my mom said that some of those times had been changed, and I was pretty sure they'd been written in after the fact.
Where did you go to look for your mother when you realized that she was gone?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, no, can you repeat the last question?
Yeah, where did you look for your mother?
The question.
Oh, the previous one. When was the last time you saw your mother?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I went to, we went up to go ask for, wait, oh, no, I'm sorry, never mind, can I move on, please?
Alright. Where did you go to look for your mother when you realized that she wasn't coming back out?
Well, after my mom went in to go talk to Olson and disappeared out the back with her, I mean, I heard arguing, I heard Olson say that that if she ever saw my mother again, she wouldn't think of hiring her and she would have to hold herself back from slapping her. I couldn't get in after Olson came back without my mother and wouldn't let me in, so I went around back to see if the back door was unlocked. And before I got there, I saw Olson putting something in a bag that looked sort of like a brick and was the same color as the bricks on the buildings. So I started demanding where she was, and she went inside and locked the door.
Thank you. No further questions.
Dani, I think somebody's going to want to cross-examine you. That's fair, cross-examine the witness?
Yes, we would, Your Honor.
Dani, do you need an issue? Just in case you go.
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh. Okay. Are you ready, Casey? Okay. Miss Dani Jamison, isn't it true that you were caught fighting outside the homeless shelter?
Yeah, I was.
And weren't you fighting with the gang member known as Big Dog Wade?
I was. He was insulting me.
And did the gang member not threaten you and your mother?
He did, but he threatens several people. It's not a threat he always tends to follow up on, no.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with the exhibit marked as Exhibit 3, which I have a copy of for you. Or here, you guys can have this copy. Okay. Could you identify this exhibit for the court, please?
That is a report of the time I was caught stealing from them.
And could you read this line right here for me?
Which one?
The one about Big Dog, please.
Big Dog countered with his own threats against Dani and Dani's mother.
Thank you. Is it not also true that you also stole from the homeless shelter?
When you live on the streets for as long as I have, you get used to having to make ends meet in less than business.
But would you not say it's true that you feel stealing is morally acceptable?
I would not say that's true in a vast majority of cases.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with their affidavit.
Please do.
Here's your copy.
They want one.
Could you please read line 57 for the court? So.
It's not hard to steal, and I've only gotten caught one time. I don't know exactly how many times I've taken things, but several for sure.
Thank you. And isn't it true that your mother was planning to blackmail Teaberry with rumors of the horse meat?
Yeah, I do believe I covered that in my
Okay.
information.
And after you got evicted from your apartment, isn't it true that you went so far as to threaten Mrs. Olson?
I would go so far as to say I know the difference between getting back at someone and ruining someone's life. Does Miss Olson?
I don't know, but Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with their affidavit? I would ask you to read your statement at line 101.
I mean, it was Olson's fault we got evicted, that's true.
That's fair.
If-
Please continue.
If she hadn't fired my mom, we could have still been living over that garage. I decided right then if I could make her pay for it.
And continue, please.
I told Kim Sanchez that, and I meant it. I even told Olson that one day when I saw her on the street.
Thank you. Isn't it true that on the morning of your mother's death, you waited outside the cafe? So, isn't it true that you did not directly witness the conversation between your mother and Teaberry?
I was able to hear some of it through
But you
the
did
walls.
not directly witness it. Is this not correct?
Seeing it through a window, kind of directly witnessing it.
But when they went into the back room, as you testified in your affidavit, you could not see
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Position of witness has been established. It was outside the cafe, is that correct?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you're looking for?
No, that is all.
Okay, thank you.
Isn't it true that you harassed Olson outside the back of the cafe?
Demanding to know where my mother was after she had disappeared is not really harassment, is it?
Depends on how you see things. And is it not also true that you feel as though Teaberry is responsible for ruining your life?
Well, she did murder my mother.
Permission to approach with the affidavit, Your Honor. Please read from line 161.
Olson says she didn't kill my mom, but I don't believe her. Besides, even if she didn't, it's still her fault that my mom's dead. If Olson hadn't fired my mom, we'd still be living in our little apartment and she'd still be alive. Even if Olson's not found guilty, I might bring up some type of lawsuit. I can find a lawyer. I want her to pay for ruining our lives.
Thank you. No more questions, Your Honor.